Welcome to ZenLight 8. Have you ever wondered how to see right through people without them even noticing? Life's like a stage. Everyone's wearing masks, hiding their true intentions. But what if you could read them just by paying attention to the subtle clues they don't even know they're giving away? Today, we're diving into 6 powerful techniques, backed by Stoic philosophy, to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. Stick around, this might just change the way you see everyone around you. 1. The Tell Me More technique. Unlocking the hidden truth without them knowing. Ever feel like people are hiding something from you? I know I have. We're surrounded by folks every day who put on a front. Smiling, nodding, saying all the right things. But deep down, you just know there's more to the story. I've been in those moments, like sitting across from someone at a coffee shop or in a tense meeting, where the air feels thick with unspoken words. And trust me, once you crack the code to reading people, it's like putting on X-ray glasses. You see right through the act. That's where the Tell Me More technique comes in. A simple, almost sneaky little trick that's so powerful it feels like a superpower. No cape required, just a calm demeanor and 3 little words. Ready to dive into how it works and why it's a game changer? Let's get started. The magic of 3 little words. Picture this, you're in a conversation and someone's going off about something they're passionate about. Maybe it's their job, a hobby, or even something as random as whether ketchup belongs in the fridge. Your instinct might be to jump in, argue your point, or steer the conversation where you want it to go. I've been there. Years ago, I was locked in a heated debate with a buddy over, get this, pineapple on pizza. I had my arguments lined up, ready to fire back about how fruit doesn't belong on a perfectly good slice. But then something clicked. Instead of cutting in, I leaned back, smiled, and said, "Tell me more." What happened next blew my mind. He started with pizza, sure, but within minutes he was spilling stories about family dinners from his childhood, how his mom used to make these weird recipes, and even a hilarious tale about the time he choked on a pineapple chunk as a kid and swore it off for years. I didn't just get his take on pizza. I got a front row seat to his inner world, his memories, his quirks, what shaped him. All because I hit him with those 3 little words. It was like I'd unlocked a secret door he didn't even know was there. Here's the kicker, he had no clue I was reading him. To him, I was just being a good listener. But in reality, I was gathering intel. Motivations, insecurities, the works. All while sipping my coffee like nothing was up. That's the beauty of Tell Me More. It's subtle, it's natural, and it works like a charm because it flips the script on how we usually talk to people. Why it works? The power of feeling heard. So why does this trick hit so hard? It's simple, people crave being heard. In a world where everyone's dying to get their 2 cents in, where we're all scrolling X or waiting for our turn to talk, genuine listening is rare. When you say, "Tell me more," you're not just asking a question. You're handing them a golden ticket to keep going, to dig deeper, to spill what's really on their mind. And here's the wild part. When they feel heard, they let their guard down. I saw this play out once during a work negotiation. The guy across the table was pitching hard, throwing out numbers and timelines like he had it all figured out. Normally, I'd push back, try to steer things my way. But instead, I stayed calm and kept saying, "Tell me more." By the end of it, he'd laid out his entire strategy. Why he was desperate to close the deal, how his boss was breathing down his neck, the whole 9 yards. He didn't mean to give me that much leverage. It just slipped out because I gave him the space to ramble. By the time we shook hands, I had the upper hand, and all I'd done was listen. It's almost too easy, right? But that's the point. When people don't feel judged or interrupted, they stop worrying about defending themselves. They relax. And in that relaxed state, they reveal way more than they planned. Sometimes stuff they didn't even realize they were holding back. Their fears, their dreams, what keeps them up at night. It all comes pouring out. You're not forcing it. You're just letting them hand it to you on a silver platter. Beyond the surface, what you'll uncover. Here's where it gets fun. The Tell Me More technique isn't just about winning arguments or getting the upper hand. It's a window into who someone really is. Take that pizza debate with my friend. Sure, I learned he hates pineapple, but I also picked up on how much he values family traditions, how those dinners shaped his sense of comfort. That's not small talk. That's the good stuff. Or think about that negotiation guy, he didn't just tell me his strategy. He showed me his stress, his pressure points, what drives him to push so hard. I've used this trick everywhere. Casual chats, tense work talks, even with people I suspected weren't being straight with me. One time, I was dealing with a shady contractor who kept dodging my questions about a delayed project. Instead of calling him out, I hit him with "tell me more" every time he gave me a vague answer. Before long, he was tripping over himself, admitting he'd overbooked jobs and was scrambling to catch up. I didn't have to pry. He spilled it all because I kept the pressure off and let him talk. What you'll find is that people don't just share facts, they reveal their why. The coworker who's obsessed with control? Tell me more might uncover a past where they felt powerless. The friend who's always bragging? Keep asking, and you might hear about an insecurity they're overcompensating for. It's like peeling an onion, layer by layer, you get to the core, and they don't even realize you're doing it. The Stoic edge: empathy without attachment. Now, let's bring in the Stoic angle, because this isn't just a slick conversational hack. It's got roots in something deeper. Stoicism teaches us to observe life with a clear head, to understand without getting tangled up in judgment or emotion. The "tell me more" technique fits that like a glove. You're not manipulating anyone. You're not trying to control the conversation. You're just sitting back, staying calm, and letting them show you who they are. It's empathy without attachment, caring enough to listen, but not so much that you lose yourself in their story. I remember using this with a family member who was upset about something I didn't get at first. She was ranting about a fight with her boss, and my gut reaction was to jump in with advice. But I caught myself, took a breath and said, "Tell me more." She went from venting about work to talking about how she's always felt overlooked. By her boss, by her parents, by life. It wasn't just about the fight. It was about a wound she'd carried for years. I didn't fix it for her, and I didn't have to. Just by listening, I gave her space to process it, and I walked away understanding her better than I ever had. That's the Stoic magic here. You're not playing therapist or puppet master. You're observing, learning, staying grounded. It's about seeing people as they are, not as you want them to be. And in that process, you build trust. They feel safe with you, even if they don't know why. Sometimes, it's healing for them just to be heard, and you get the bonus of seeing their truth laid bare, turning it into a habit. So how do you make this part of your life? It's not hard, but it takes practice. Start small. Next time you're chatting with someone, resist the urge to cut in. When they pause, don't fill the silence with your thoughts. Just smile, nod, and say, "Tell me more." Watch what happens. Maybe they'll keep it surface level at first, but if you stick with it, keep asking, keep listening, they'll go deeper. You'll be amazed at how much people share when you give them the runway. I've turned this into a reflex now. At work, with friends, even on dates, it's my go-to move. One time, I was out with someone new, and she was talking about her job. I could have jumped in with my own work stories, but I didn't. "Tell me more," I said. By the end of the night, I knew about her crazy boss, her dream to switch careers, and even a random fear of public speaking she hadn't told anyone else. She thought we'd just had a great conversation. I knew I'd gotten a masterclass in who she was, the real power, connection, and self-reflection. Here's the deepest truth. This isn't just about reading people. It's about connecting with them. In a world where everyone's shouting to be noticed, "Tell me more" is a quiet rebellion. It says, "I see you and I'm here for it." You're not just collecting info, you're building something real: trust, understanding, maybe even a bond that lasts. And beyond that, it forces you to step outside your own ego. You stop planning your next line and start caring about theirs. That's rare, and it's powerful. But it's not just about them, it's about you too. Every time I use this, I learn something about myself. What triggers me to interrupt? Why do I feel the need to argue? Stoicism says self-awareness is the path to growth, and this technique doubles as a mirror. You'll see your own impatience, your own biases, and over time, you'll smooth those edges out. So, next time you're in a conversation, whether it's a casual catch-up, a high-stakes negotiation, or a fight about pizza, try it. Lean in, stay calm, and say, "Tell me more." Watch the masks slip, the walls crumble, and the truth spill out. You'll see people in a way you never have before, And you might just find that the real superpower isn't reading them. It's understanding them and yourself on a level most people never reach. That's the Stoic way, and trust me, once you start, you won't look back. 2. Watch how they treat people in a lesser position. The true measure of character. Ever wonder what someone's really like behind the polished smile they flash your way? I've been there, caught off guard by people who seem perfect until the mask slips. We're surrounded by actors every day, putting on a show for the folks they want to impress. But here's the thing. If you want to cut through the performance and see who they truly are, don't watch how they treat you. Watch how they treat the people they think are beneath them, the waiter, the janitor, the junior colleague. That's where the real story hides. It's a little controversial because it strips away the excuses and shines a harsh light on human nature. But once you start paying attention, you'll never unsee it. Ready to dig into why this is the ultimate character test? Let's dive in. The moment the curtain falls. I learned this lesson the hard way. A while back, I worked with someone who seemed like the total package. Charming, funny, the kind of person who lights up a room. In meetings, they were all smiles, tossing out compliments and cracking jokes like a pro. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Then one day, we grabbed lunch together, and the whole illusion came crashing down. The second we sat down, they turned into someone else. They snapped at the waiter, barking orders like they were royalty, and the poor guy was dirt under their shoe. No, please. No, thank you. Just this cold, dismissive tone that made my stomach turn. It was like a switch flipped, and I realized this wasn't a bad day. This was who they were when they didn't have to play nice. That lunch stuck with me. It wasn't just about the waiter, it was a wake-up call. People can fake it when the stakes are high, when they're trying to win you over or look good for the boss. But when they're dealing with someone they don't need to impress, someone they see as lesser, the filters drop. That's when you see the raw, unpolished truth. Are they kind, arrogant, insecure? It's all laid bare in how they treat the people they think don't matter. Why it matters, power reveals, not hides. Here's the deal. How someone acts when they've got nothing to gain, or when they know they can get away with it, tells you everything. It's easy to be polite to the CEO or sweet-talk a client. There's a payoff there, a reason to keep up the act. But what about the cashier at the grocery store who's moving too slow for their liking? Or the intern who fumbles a task? There's no reward for being nice there, no audience clapping for them. That's why it's such a dead-on indicator of character. When there's no social pressure, no spotlight, what's left is the real them. I've seen it play out 100 times. There was this guy I knew, let's call him Mike, who was a rock star at work. Always respectful to the higher-ups. Always ready with a handshake and a grin. But one day, I caught him chewing out a maintenance worker over something trivial, like a spilled coffee in the break room. His tone was sharp, condescending, like he was talking to a kid who'd disappointed him. I couldn't believe it was the same guy. Later, I realized it was the same guy. He was just showing the side he hid from people who could call him out. If he talked to a janitor like that, he'd do it to anyone he thought he could steamroll. That's when I knew Mike wasn't kind. He was calculating. Stoicism backs this up hard. It's all about observing human behavior objectively, cutting through the noise to see what's what. How someone treats those with less power isn't just a quirk. It's a neon sign pointing to their soul. The person who's rude to the waiter, they're not having an off moment. They're showing you their default when the stakes are low. The one who's patient with the new hire, even when no one's watching. That's someone secure enough not to need a punching bag. It's a litmus test you can't fake. The two types it reveals. This little trick splits people into two camps, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. First, there's the ones who stay kind, even when there's no payoff. I had a boss once who was the real deal. She'd run million-dollar projects, command a room like nobody's business, but you'd catch her thanking the security guard by name or asking the barista how their day was going. Like she actually cared. No one was grading her for it, no one was around to pat her on the back. She just did it. That's the kind of person who's solid inside, who doesn't need to put others down to feel big. Stoicism would call that virtue, living true to yourself no matter who's in the room. Then there's the other type, the ones who flip the script when they think they're safe. I dated someone like that once. She was all charm with me, thoughtful, attentive, the works. But one night at dinner, she rolled her eyes at the server for mixing up an order, muttering something snarky under her breath. It wasn't a big deal, but that edge in her voice hit me like a brick. Later, I saw it again. Cutting remarks to a cab driver, impatience with a store clerk. It wasn't about the mistakes. It was about her. She only played nice when it suited her. That's not kindness, it's a transaction. And trust me, if they'll do it to a stranger, they'll do it to you when the shine wears off. Here's the deeper cut. The cruel ones, the dismissive ones, they're usually hiding something. Stoicism teaches us that arrogance often masks insecurity. People who step on those below them, they're propping themselves up because, deep down, they don't feel tall enough. The boss who yells at the assistant might be terrified of looking weak. The friend who mocks the delivery guy might be scrambling to feel superior. It's not just bad behavior. It's a cry from someone who's shaky inside. Meanwhile, the ones who lift others up, even the little people, they're steady. They don't need to prove anything. Putting it to the test. This isn't just theory, it's a tool you can use anywhere. Next time you're out with someone, watch them in action. How do they talk to the bartender when the drink's late? What's their vibe with the coworker who's still learning the ropes? I've made it a silent test in my life. A few years back, I was hiring for a team, and one candidate stood out on paper: sharp, experienced, great references. But during a casual lunch interview, he waved off the server like she was a fly buzzing around him. No eye contact, no manners, just this curt, get-it-done attitude. That was it for me. Skills are one thing, but I'd rather work with someone who respects the whole room, not just the people signing the checks. It works in friendships, too. I've got a buddy who's the opposite of that guy. He's the type to tip extra and chat up the gas station clerk like they're old pals. No one's watching, no one cares, but he does it anyway. That's why he's worth keeping around. And dating? Oh, it's gold there. If they're sweet to you but snappy with the valet, that's a red flag waving in your face. Pay attention, it'll save you headaches down the road. The Stoic lens. A mirror for you, too. Here's where Stoicism kicks it up a notch. This isn't just about sizing up others, it's a gut check for yourself. How do you treat the people who can't do anything for you? I've caught myself slipping before. Getting short with a cashier after a long day, brushing off a telemarketer like they're not human. Stings to admit, but those moments show me where I'm off balance. Stoicism says true character isn't how you act when the spotlight's on. It's who you are when no one's keeping score. The goal's consistency. Being the same person to the CEO and the doorman, not because it's noble, but because it's real. That's the challenge. It's easy to shine when there's applause, but what about when the room's empty? The way you treat the lesser folks isn't just a window into others. It's a mirror. Are you projecting your own stress, your own need to feel big? Or are you steady enough to give respect where it's not required? I've had to ask myself that, and it's humbling. The Stoic path is about aligning who you are with what you value, no matter who's in front of you. The payoff, clarity and connection. So why bother with this? Because it cuts through the noise. Life's too short for fake friends, shady coworkers, or partners who'll turn on you when the mask slips. Watching how people treat those beneath them gives you clarity. Fast. It's the cheat code to spotting who's worth your time and who's just playing a part. And when you find the ones who pass the test, the ones who stay kind, who don't need an audience, that's where real connection lives. They're not perfect, but they're honest. That's gold. Next time you're out there, test it. Skip the surface charm and zero in on the small stuff. Their tone with the barista, their patience with the newbie. It's not about judging. It's about seeing. Stoicism gives you the lens, but you've got to look. What you find might surprise you, might disappoint you, might even change how you move through the world. But one thing's for sure, you'll know who you're dealing with. And in a sea of masks, that's power worth having. 3. Their past is the key to their present, decoding people through their history. Ever meet someone who seems like a puzzle you can't quite crack? I've been there, sitting across from a friend, a coworker, or even a stranger, wondering why they act the way they do. People don't come with instruction manuals, but here's the secret I've learned. Their past is the manual. It's the hidden script behind every word, every reaction, every quirk. We like to say the past is the past, but let's be real, it's never really gone. It's alive in how they move through the world today, shaped by every triumph, every scar, every moment that stuck with them. Want to know why someone's guarded, or overly loud, or can't let go of control? Look back. Their history holds the key. It's a little controversial because it means nobody's a clean slate, but once you see it, you'll never read people the same way again. Let's unpack this. The echoes that shape us. I had a friend, let's call her Sarah, who always seemed wound tight. You'd say something casual, like, "Hey, let's grab coffee," and she'd snap back with a defensive edge, like you just accused her of something. At first, I thought it was me. Maybe I'd hit a nerve without knowing it. But it kept happening, this hair-trigger reaction to the smallest things. I couldn't figure her out. Then one night, over a few drinks, she opened up about her past. Turns out, she'd grown up in a house where trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Parents who'd promise the world and then bail. Friends who'd stab her in the back the second she let her guard down. Suddenly, it clicked. That defensiveness? It wasn't about me. It was an echo from years of betrayal. A shield she'd built to keep from getting burned again. That was my light bulb moment. People don't just wake up one day acting a certain way. It's baked into them by what they've been through. Sarah's past wasn't some dusty old story. It was the lens she saw everything through. Her need to protect herself didn't come out of nowhere. It was carved into her by years of letdowns. Once I saw that, I stopped taking it personally and started seeing her for real. Her present made sense because I'd glimpsed the past driving it. The blueprint of behavior. Here's the thing. Everyone's carrying their history like a backpack. Some light, some heavy as hell. Trauma, wins, relationships, they don't just fade away. They leave marks. I worked with a guy once who was obsessed with being the loudest voice in the room. Meetings were his stage, always cutting people off, always needing to be right. It drove me nuts until I heard about his childhood. He'd grown up the youngest of 5, ignored unless he shouted to be heard. That need to dominate? It wasn't random. It was a kid still yelling over his siblings, trying to prove he mattered. His past wasn't an excuse, it was an explanation. Stoicism ties into this perfectly. It's all about looking at life as it is, no rose-colored glasses, no judgment. When you dig into someone's past, you're not coddling them, you're decoding them. Take romantic relationships. Ever date someone who's fine at first, then starts acting jealous or clingy out of nowhere? I did. She'd flip out if I didn't text back fast enough, and I couldn't figure out why, until she told me about an ex who'd cheated on her for years. That jealousy wasn't about me. It was a ghost from her last heartbreak haunting our present. Knowing that didn't fix it, but it gave me clarity. Her actions were reactions to wounds she hadn't patched up. The past isn't just baggage. It's a blueprint. Someone who grew up broke might hoard every penny now, even if they're loaded. A person who's been dumped might sabotage every new fling before it gets serious. It's not always obvious. People don't walk around with signs saying, "I'm like this because of X." But if you look close, you'll see the dots connect. Their habits, their fears, their wins, they're all echoes of what came before. Patterns that trap them. Here's where it gets wild. Most people don't even realize they're stuck in loops. They're replaying their past like a broken record, and they don't hear it skipping. I had a coworker, super smart, great at her job, who'd freak out if anyone gave her feedback. Even a gentle, "Hey, maybe tweak this," would send her spiraling into excuses and self-doubt. It baffled me until I learned she'd grown up with a dad who'd nitpick her every move. Nothing ever good enough. That insecurity wasn't new. It was decades old, triggered every time someone questioned her. She wasn't just reacting to me or the boss. She was reliving that old script over and over. That's the controversial bit. People don't move on as cleanly as we think. They carry their history, and it drives them in ways they don't see. The friend who can't commit? Dig deep, and you might find a first love that wrecked them. The boss who micromanages? Could be a past gig where they got blamed for someone else's mess. These aren't one-offs. They're cycles. Stoicism says we should spot these patterns, not to judge, but to understand. When you see someone's behavior as an echo, you stop getting mad and start getting curious. Why are they like this? What's the root? I've seen it in myself too. I used to hate being left out of plans. Wouldn't say it, but it'd eat at me. Then I remembered being the kid nobody picked for teams, always on the sidelines. That sting stuck with me, and decades later, it'd flare up over something as dumb as a missed invite. Recognizing that didn't erase it, but it gave me a handle on it. The past doesn't just shape others, it shapes you too until you shine a light on it. Using it wisely, insight, not excuses. So how do you use this? It's not about playing detective or throwing someone's history in their face. It's about quiet observation. Next time someone overreacts or shuts down, ask yourself, what's behind this? I had a neighbor who'd lose it if kids got loud near his yard, yelling like they'd torched his house. Annoying, sure, but then I heard he'd lost a son years back. That anger wasn't about the noise. It was grief wearing a mask. Knowing that didn't make him a saint, but it made him human. I stopped judging and started nodding from a distance. This isn't about letting people off the hook. If they're toxic, you don't have to stick around just because, oh, they had it rough. But understanding their past lets you navigate them better. That jealous ex? I didn't stay, but I knew where her head was at. No hard feelings. The loud coworker? I let him talk himself out, knowing it wasn't personal. It's like having a map. You don't have to take every road, but you know where they lead. Stoicism's big on this. See things clearly, no fluff. The past explains, it doesn't absolve. Someone's trauma might make them lash out, but you're not their punching bag. It's about protecting your peace while still getting the full picture. And sometimes, if you're close enough, you can nudge them toward breaking those cycles. I told Sarah once, you don't have to fight every battle. You're safe here. She didn't fix overnight, but it planted a seed. Insight can do that, shine a light they might not see themselves. The Stoic mirror your past, too. Here's the twist. This isn't just about reading others. It's a gut punch for you. What's your past driving? I've had to face it. My need to be liked, my knee-jerk sarcasm when I'm stressed. They're not random. They're threads from way back. Stoicism says self-reflection's the goal. Know yourself, master yourself. When I catch myself overreacting, I pause. Is this now or then? It's humbling, but it's growth. The past isn't a life sentence, it's a teacher if you let it be. Think about your own loops. That fear of failing? Maybe it's a test you bombed in 5th grade. That need to please? Could be a parent you could never satisfy. Seeing it doesn't erase it, but it gives you power over it. Stoics don't run from the truth, they face it. And when you do, you're not just decoding others, you're decoding you. The payoff, clarity in a messy world. So why bother? Because life's messy, and people are messier. Their past is the key to cutting through the chaos. It's not about pity, it's about clarity. You'll see why they tick, what sets them off, where they're stuck. It's like X-ray vision for the soul. And the more you get it, the less you're blindsided. That guarded friend? You'll know when to push or pull back. The control freak boss? You'll sidestep their traps. It's not magic, it's observation, Stoic style. Next time someone throws you a curveball, don't just react, rewind. What's the story behind it? You'll find answers in the shadows of their past, and maybe your own. It's not about fixing them. It's about understanding them, and yourself with eyes wide open. That's the real win. A sharper lens on a blurry world. For sudden changes in tone signal lies or hesitation. The voice that betrays the truth. Ever catch someone mid-sentence and feel like something's off, even if you can't put your finger on it? I've been there. Listening to a smooth talker, all confidence and charm, until their voice does this weird little hiccup. A pause too long, a pitch that jumps, a sudden drop in energy. It's like their words are lying, but their tone's spilling the beans. People think they can hide what's going on inside, but here's the wild truth. Their voice gives them away every time. When it shifts out of nowhere, that's your signal, lies, hesitation, or something they're not saying. It's a sneaky little clue most folks miss, but once you tune in, it's like having a built-in lie detector. Let's break down why this happens and how it can change the way you read people. The crack that tells the tale. I'll never forget the first time I caught this in action. I was working with a coworker, let's call him Jake, who could talk his way out of anything. Deadlines, excuses, you name it, he'd spin it with this upbeat, unshakable vibe. One day, we were hashing out a project timeline, and I asked how his part was coming. "Oh, it's all good," he said, same old Jake, all grins and gusto. But then his voice did this thing. It dropped, slowed down, almost stumbled over itself. "Yeah, should be fine," he mumbled. I didn't buy it. Sure enough, a week later, he admitted he hadn't even started. That shift in tone? It was the red flag his words tried to hide. It's not just about catching lies, though that's too narrow. It's about spotting when someone's not all in. Their voice is like a traitor, leaking what their brain's fighting to keep under wraps. I've seen it in casual chats, too. A friend once swore she was totally cool with skipping our usual hangout, but her tone went flat, monotone, like someone flipped a switch. She wasn't cool with it. She just didn't want the fight. That little dip told me more than her "I'm fine" ever could. Why it happens? The body betrays the mind. So what's going on here? It's simple but kind of mind-blowing. Our voices aren't as good at lying as we are. When someone's spinning a story, or even just dodging the truth, their brain's working overtime to keep it straight. But their body is not on board. That conflict sneaks out in their tone. Maybe their pitch climbs because they're nervous, or they pause too long fishing for the right words. It's like their subconscious is waving a flag, saying, "Hey, something's up." Think about it. When you're comfy and honest, your voice flows. Steady, natural, no hiccups. But throw in a lie or even a half-truth and things get shaky. I've heard it all. The guy whose voice cracks when he says he totally didn't forget your birthday, the coworker who speeds up when they're glossing over a screw-up, the date who goes quiet when you ask about their weekend plans. It's not always a big, dramatic gotcha. Sometimes it's subtle, like a flicker of doubt in their usual swagger. But it's there, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Stoicism fits this like a glove. It's all about watching the world as it is, no filters. People can script their words, but their tone's raw. It's the unpolished truth slipping through the cracks. That's why it's such a goldmine for reading them without a showdown. You don't have to call them out. Their voice does the work for you. What you'll hear, the signals to catch. So what should you listen for? It's not one size fits all. Everyone's got their own tell. For some, it's a pitch shift, going high and squeaky when they're rattled. I had a boss who'd sound like a chipmunk whenever he overpromised on a deadline he couldn't hit. Others slow down like they're buying time to think. Remember Jake? That's his move, words dragging like he's wading through mud. Then there's the pause crew. Those awkward silences where you can almost hear their brain scrambling. I've caught friends doing that when they're dodging a touchy subject like, "Yeah, I didn't see that text." Energy's a big one, too. Someone's all fired up, then suddenly flatlines? That's a sign. I was pitching an idea to a colleague once. Let's call her Lisa, and she was nodding, hyping me up until I asked if she'd back it with the boss. Her "sure, sounds great" came out like a deflated balloon. No spark, no life. Later, I found out she hated the idea but didn't want to say it. Her tone sold her out. And don't sleep on the forced cheer, like when someone's trying too hard to sound normal. Ever hear a "no, I'm good"? That's so bright it's brittle? I had a roommate pull that when I asked about rent, all sing-song and chipper. Turned out he was broke and stalling. That fake pep was his cover, but his voice couldn't sell it. These shifts aren't random. They're windows into what's cooking under the surface. Beyond lies, hesitation, and doubt. Here's where it gets deeper. It's not always about deception. Sometimes it's just uncertainty, discomfort, stuff they're not ready to say. I had a buddy who'd light up talking about his new side gig, voice booming, words flying, until I asked if he'd quit his day job for it. Boom, monotone city. "Maybe, I dunno," he said, all the wind gone. He wasn't lying, he just hadn't figured it out, and his tone showed the wrestle inside. It's like his voice hit the brakes while his brain caught up. Relationships are a hotbed for this. Ever ask someone, "You okay?" and get a quick, "Yeah, totally." That doesn't match their vibe? I've been there. Dated someone who'd swear everything was fine, but her voice would tighten, get sharp whenever we brushed a sore spot. She wasn't hiding an affair or anything juicy, just feelings she didn't want to unpack. That edge in her tone was my cue. Something's off, even if she won't say it. You don't need a confession when their voice is already talking. Even in business, it's a tell. I was negotiating with a vendor once. Guy's all smooth, laying out terms like he's got it locked. Then I pushed on the delivery date, and his, "Oh, that's doable," came out slow, hesitant, like he was crossing his fingers behind his back. Spoiler, it wasn't doable. His tone tipped me off, no confrontation needed. The stoic play, observe, don't judge. This is where stoicism shines. It's not about pouncing on people or yelling, "Aha, liar." It's about watching, listening, staying cool. When Jake's voice faltered, I didn't grill him. I just noted it and adjusted. When Lisa went flat, I didn't push. I pivoted. Stoics say people reveal themselves if you let them, and tone's one of the loudest ways they do it. You're not there to fix them or fight them. You're there to see them, clear as day. It's almost funny how blind people are to it. They think they're slick, but their voice is like a neon sign flashing, "I'm hiding something." Meanwhile, you're just sitting there, sipping your coffee, picking up the signal. It's power without force, understanding what's real without firing a shot. And here's the kicker. Sometimes they're not even lying to you, they're lying to themselves. That vendor, he probably wanted to believe he could deliver. His tone showed the doubt he wouldn't admit. Stoicism gets that, too. People wrestle with their own truths and it leaks out whether they like it or not. Turning it on yourself. Flip the script. You do it, too. Ever notice your voice wobble when you're unsure? I have. Once, I told a friend I was over a breakup, but my pitch climbed like I was auditioning for a choir. I wasn't fooling anyone, least of all myself. Stoicism's big on alignment, your thoughts, words, actions all matching up. When they don't, your tone's the snitch. Next time you catch it, ask, what am I dodging? It's a fast track to knowing yourself better, and that's half the game. The payoff, truth without the tussle. So why tune in? Because it's a shortcut to the real story. You don't need to dig or argue. Just listen. That shift in tone's your compass, points you to lies, doubts, whatever they're holding back. It saved me time, headaches, even deals gone south. Friend bullshitting about being busy? I hear it, let it slide. Client hedging on a promise? I hear it, plan accordingly. It's not about catching them. It's about knowing where you stand. Try it next time you're talking, zero in on their voice. Does it jump? Stall? Fade? That's your clue. Stoicism gives you the calm to catch it, the clarity to read it. You'll see through the noise without breaking a sweat, and they'll never know you're onto them. That's the edge. Truth served up quiet, clean, and cold. 5. The most honest moments are when they think no one's watching, unveiling the real them. Ever wonder who someone really is when the spotlight's off? I've caught myself staring at people, friends, coworkers, even strangers, trying to figure out what's behind the face they show the world. We're all performers in a way, putting on our best selves for the crowd. But here's the thing I've learned. If you want the unfiltered truth about someone, don't watch them when they're posing for the camera. Watch them when they think no one's looking. That's when the mask slips, the script fades, and you see what they're made of. It's a little unsettling because it shatters the idea that what you see is what you get. But once you start noticing, it's like a secret decoder ring for human nature. Let's dive into why these unguarded moments are the real deal and how they show you everything. The spotlight versus the shadows. I'll never forget the first time this hit me square in the face. I worked with a manager, let's call her Claire, who was the poster child for professionalism. In front of the boss, she was all polish. Calm voice, warm smiles, the kind of person you'd trust with your life. I bought it, thought she was one of the good ones. Then one day, I stuck around after a meeting, fiddling with my laptop while everyone cleared out. Claire didn't see me lingering. The second she thought the room was empty, she turned on the team, snapping at an assistant over some trivial typo, her tone dripping with contempt. It wasn't just a bad mood. It was a whole different person. The Claire I knew vanished, and the real one stepped out. Sharp, impatient, cold. That flipped a switch for me. People are pros at playing the part when they know eyes are on them, smiling for the audience, saying the right lines. But when they think the stage is clear, that's when the curtain falls. Claire didn't need to impress the assistant. She didn't think anyone important was watching, so she let her true colors fly. It's not about catching them being bad. It's about seeing who they are when the pressure to perform is gone. Kindness, cruelty, patience, arrogance. It all spills out in those quiet, unguarded seconds. Why it's the truth. No filters, no stakes. Here's why this works. When people know they're being watched, they're hyper-aware. They tweak their words, their posture, their vibe to fit what's expected. Approval, respect, whatever's on the table. I've done it, you've done it, it's human. But take away the audience and there's no reason to fake it. No applause to chase, no judgment to dodge. What's left is pure, unscripted them. How do they act when there's nothing to gain? That's the gold standard of character. I saw it with a colleague once. Total team player in group settings, always pitching in with a grin. But one day, I caught him alone in the break room, muttering under his breath as he shoved a coworker's lunch aside to make space. No one was there to call him out, so he didn't bother with the nice guy act. It wasn't evil, just selfish in a way he'd never show in public. Compare that to my old boss, who'd stop to pick up trash in the parking lot when he thought no one saw. No one was clapping, but he did it anyway. That's the split. One's a performance, the other's principle. Stoicism nails this. It says virtue isn't about how you shine when people are watching. It's who you are when the room's empty. The person who's kind to the cashier because the line's long and nobody's looking, that's real. The one who's rude because they think it won't cost them, that's real too. These moments strip away the polish and show you the core. Good, bad, or messy. What you'll see. The small stuff speaks loud. It's not always big, dramatic reveals. Sometimes it's the tiny cracks that tell the story. I've watched people in those off-guard beats, and it's wild what slips out. A friend who's all laughs at a party might slump into silence the second they're alone, staring at their phone like the weight of the world's on them. That's not the life of the party guy I know. It's the one he hides. Or take dating early on, everyone's on their A game, right? But I've learned to peek at the quiet moments. One guy I dated was all charm with me, but when he thought I wasn't looking, he'd scoff at a slow pedestrian like they'd ruined his day. That impatience wasn't for me yet, but it was there, waiting. Work's a treasure trove for this. I had a coworker, super supportive in meetings, always hyping everyone up. But once, I saw him alone at his desk, rolling his eyes at a junior staffer's email. No one to impress, no need to fake it, he was done playing cheerleader. Contrast that with a teammate who'd stay late, fixing someone else's mistake. No credit on the line. She didn't know I saw, but I did. Those snapshots? They're truer than any speech they'll give in the spotlight. Even strangers spill it. Next time you're out, watch someone when they think they're invisible, how they treat the barista when the shop's dead, or the way they react to a spilled coffee with no crowd around. I've seen a guy quietly clean it up, no fuss, no audience. I've also seen a woman curse out the universe like it's personal, oblivious to anyone nearby. Neither's wrong. They're just real. That's the stuff you can't script. The Stoic benchmark. Consistency is king. This is where Stoicism kicks in hard. It's not just about spotting the truth in others. It's the yardstick for what matters. The Stoics say the good life's about living your values, period, whether the room's packed or you're alone in the dark. Someone who's patient with a slow clerk when no one's watching, they're not just nice, they're aligned. That's the Stoic gold standard. Actions that don't bend for an audience. Claire, snapping at her assistant? She's not evil. She's just not there yet. Her kindness was a prop, not a pillar. I've seen the real deal, though. A friend who'd tip extra and thank the delivery guy, even when I was the only one around to notice. No show, no agenda, just him. That's the kind of person Stoicism lifts up. Steady, not staged. Meanwhile, the ones who flip, sweet in public, sour in private, they're not bad people. They're just split. They've got two selves, and the private one's the truth. Spotting that gap's how you tell performance from principle. Testing it out, your silent spy game. So how do you use this? Easy, play the observer. Next time you're with someone, don't just buy the front row act. Look for the backstage moments. How do they talk to the waiter when you step away? What's their vibe when the meeting's over and they think the Zoom's off? I've made it a habit. Once I was out with a new hire, total pro in the group chat, all team spirit vibes. But I caught him alone, griping to himself about a task he'd just volunteered for. No one else saw, but I did. That's who he was when the mask dropped. Not a team player, just a good actor. Relationships are prime territory. Early on, it's all roses, right? But watch them when they're off guard. How they handle stress. How they treat the nobodies. I dated someone who'd gush over my dog in front of me, but I caught her shooing him away when she thought I was out of earshot. Small, sure, but it was a peek at the real her, less warm than she sold herself. Flip side, my best friend once spent 10 minutes helping a lost kid at the park. No one around to cheer. That's why she's my ride or die. Her truth holds up. The mirror. Who are you in the dark? Stoicism doesn't let you off the hook. It turns this on you. Who are you when no one's watching? I've had to face it. I've been the guy who's all smiles at a party, then grumbles about the mess when I'm alone cleaning up. Stings, but it's real. The goal's not perfection. It's alignment. Am I kind when it doesn't pay? Do I cut corners when I think I'll skate by? Those shadow moments are my gut check. Stoics say that's where virtue lives. Not in the applause, but in the quiet. I'm still working on it, but seeing it's the first step. The win, knowing who's worth it. Why bother? Because it's your filter for the fakes. Life's too short for people who only shine when the lights are on. These unguarded glimpses show you who's solid and who's just selling you a show. That manager, Claire? I kept my distance. Her private self wasn't worth my trust. My trash-picking boss? He's someone I'd follow anywhere. His values didn't flicker. It's not about catching villains. It's about finding the real ones. The ones who don't need a crowd to be good. So next time, don't settle for the highlight reel. Peek behind the scenes, watch them when they think the stage is dark. That's where the truth lives, raw and unfiltered. Stoicism gives you the calm to see it, the wisdom to sort it. You'll know who's playing a part and who's living it, and that's a clarity worth chasing. 6. Emotional reactions reveal priorities, the unfiltered map to what matters. Ever notice how someone's cool as a cucumber until you hit a certain button, and then, bam, they're all fire or tears? I've seen it happen, and it's like a light switching on. People can talk a big game, keep their cards close, but when their emotions flare, anger, excitement, anxiety, it's like they're handing you a roadmap to their soul. What sets them off, what lights them up, what ties them in knots. That's the stuff they care about most, even if they'd never admit it. It's a little raw because it strips away the poker face we all wear. But once you start paying attention, it's the clearest way to read what drives someone. Let's dig into why emotions are the ultimate tell, and how they show you more than words ever could. The spark that shows the core. I'll never forget this one time at work. I had a colleague, let's call him Dan, who was the definition of chill. Nothing rattled him. Deadlines, curveballs, you name it, he'd shrug it off with a half smile. Then one day, in a routine meeting, someone floated a tiny tweak to a project he'd been grinding on. I mean, tiny like changing a font or something. Dan lost it. His voice shot up, his face went red, and he launched into this passionate defense of why it had to stay as is. I was floored. Mr. Laidback turned into a fireball over a detail nobody else cared about. Later, I figured it out. That project wasn't just work to him, it was his pride, his proof he could nail something big. That outburst wasn't about the font. It was about what it meant to him. That's when it hit me. Emotions don't lie. People can spin stories, dodge questions, play it cool, but when they react hard, good or bad, it's because you've tapped something deep. Dan didn't sit me down and say, "Hey, this project's my everything." He didn't have to. His explosion did the talking. Whether it's anger over a slight, joy over a win, or panic over a change, those raw flashes show you what's at the top of their list, even if they don't know it themselves. Why it works. Emotions cut through the noise. Here's the deal, we're wired to feel first, think second. You can plan your words, rehearse your vibe, but emotions? They're fast, messy, and they don't wait for permission. When something matters, really matters, it punches through the filter. I've seen it everywhere. A friend who's chill about most things but flips out if you cancel plans last minute. Time with people is her lifeline. She won't say it, but her frustration screams it. A boss who bristles when you question his call? It's not just ego. His identity's tied to being the guy in charge. That spark, that heat, it's a neon sign pointing to their priorities. It's not just the negative stuff either. Positive flares are just as telling. I dated someone who'd get this kid-like grin whenever we talked about road trips. Eyes bright, voice bouncing. She didn't need to spell it out. I knew shared adventures were her jam. Compare that to her shrug when I brought up fancy dinners. Nice, but not her hill to die on. Emotions don't just show what they hate losing. They show what they live for, too. It's like a compass. Follow the needle, and you'll find their North Star. Stoicism ties this up tight. It's about observing life straight on, no fluff. People can hide their thoughts, but their feelings? They leak. That's your anger maps to what they're protecting, excitement to what they're chasing, worry to what they're scared of losing. It's not random noise. It's a pattern. And once you see it, you've got a backstage pass to their headspace. What you'll find: values, motives, insecurities. This isn't just a party trick. It's a deep dive. Take anger, it's a gold mine. I had a coworker who'd snap if you hinted she'd dropped the ball. At first, I thought she was just prickly, but then I saw it. She tied her worth to being flawless. One slip and she'd unravel, not because she hated me, but because she hated failing. Her blow-up wasn't about the critique. It was about her need to be seen as bulletproof. That's the map. Her priority was her rep, and her insecurity was any crack in it. Excitement's another clue. My brother's a quiet guy. Doesn't say much about what drives him. But bring up his garden? He's off voice jumping, hands waving, rattling off plant names like a kid with a new toy. It's not just a hobby. It's his peace, his win. I didn't get that from his usual, yeah, it's fine vibe. I got it from the spark. His priorities right there. Creating something alive, something his. Anxiety's the sneaky one. I had a friend who'd get twitchy, voice tight, words fast whenever we talked about money. Didn't matter if it was bills or a raise. She'd fidget like the room was closing in. Took me a while, but I pieced it together. She'd grown up scraping by, and that fear of not enough still haunted her. Her worry wasn't about me borrowing $5. It was about a ghost she couldn't shake. That's her priority. Security, shadowed by an old insecurity. These reactions aren't just noise, they're a guide. Anger guards what they value, joy flags what they love, fear points to what they're scared to lose. It's not about judging, it's about seeing the dots connect. In the wild, spotting it everywhere. You can test this anywhere. Work's a hotspot. I had a manager who'd shrug off most stuff, budget cuts, late reports, whatever, until you mentioned his team's morale. Then he'd light up, voice firm, pushing how we had to keep people motivated. Didn't take a genius to see it. His crew was his heart, his measure of success. Flip that to a teammate who'd get defensive, voice sharp, hands clenched if you pointed out a typo. Reliability was her thing. Any hint she'd slipped cut deep. Relationships are prime turf. Ever bring up something small, like forgetting a date, and get a blowout? I did. She didn't just yell about the calendar. She unloaded about feeling ignored. Her volume mapped it. Being seen was her priority, and my miss hit an old wound. On the flip, I've had partners who'd glow, voice soft, eyes wide, talking about future plans. That wasn't just chatter. It was their anchor. You don't need a therapy session. Just listen to the heat or the hush. Even casual stuff works. A buddy who'd laugh off politics but fume. Voice rising, words tripping. Over a sports call? Winning's his fuel, not debates. It's in the flare-ups and the freak-outs. The little bursts that say, "This is me, unfiltered." The stoic edge, reading and reflecting. Stoicism's the secret sauce here. It says watch without jumping in. Let the emotions play out, then read them. When Dan blew up, I didn't argue. I noted it. When my friend got twitchy about cash, I didn't pry. I saw it. It's not about fixing them. It's about understanding them. You don't need to poke the bear. Just watch it roar and know why. That calm lens lets you map their priorities without getting tangled in their mess. But it's not just them, it's you. Stoics say your emotions are your teacher, too. I've caught myself snapping when someone questions my work. Voice tight, temper short. Why? Because I tie my value to what I make. That's my priority staring back at me, laced with a fear of not measuring up. When I'm giddy over a new idea, voice racing, grin wide. It's because creating's my spark. Seeing that doesn't just help me read others, it helps me grow. Am I mad because it matters, or because my ego's bruised? Stoicism says sort that out, live truer. Using it, navigate and elevate. So how do you wield this? Simple, tune in. Next time someone flares up, don't just hear the noise. Ask what's behind it. Boss raging over a missed goal? Maybe controls his lifeline. Friend buzzing about a promotion? Recognition's their juice. You'll know how to approach them. Tiptoe around the sore spots. Lean into the sweet ones. It's not manipulation. It's navigation. I've dodged fights with my defensive coworker by sidestepping her triggers. Built trust with my giddy brother by feeding his garden talk. Better yet, it's a mirror. When I lash out, I pause. Why's this hitting me? Is it worth it or just pride? That's the stoic win. Understanding them sharpens your moves. Understanding you sharpens your soul. You live better, less caught off guard, more in line with what's real. The payoff, clarity, and growth. Why care? Because it's a cheat code to life's chaos. People's emotions cut through the BS. Show you what they're made of, what they're hiding, what they're chasing. You'll see the friend who needs you most, the coworker who's all talk, the partner who's in or out. And you'll see yourself, where you're solid, where you're shaky. Stoicism says that's the path. Know them, know you, grow from both. It's not just insight. It's power, quiet and deep, to move through the world wiser. So next time someone's emotions spike, high, low, loud, soft. Don't just ride it out. Listen. It's their priorities calling and maybe yours answering back. That's the real deal. A window to them, a lesson for you. So there you have it, 6 ways to read people without them ever catching on, all wrapped up in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. From the quiet power of tell me more to the unguarded truth of their shadow moments. These techniques aren't just tricks, they're tools. They blend real-world smarts with that stoic call to observe objectively, listen with heart, and reflect on what it all means. This isn't about outsmarting anyone or pulling strings. It's about peeling back the layers to understand others on a deeper level, to see their priorities and their pasts, and in the process to get a clearer look at yourself. That's the real win. Living wiser, truer, with a little more integrity every day. Thank you, ZenLight 8 crew, for hanging out with me on this one. You're the reason I keep digging into these ideas. Your curiosity, your vibe, it's what lights this channel up. If this hit home for you, drop a comment. Tell me which technique you're trying first or share a moment you've seen someone's truth slip out. Hit that like button if you're feeling it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Plenty more wisdoms coming your way. Until next time, keep observing, keep reflecting, and keep chasing that stoic calm. See you soon.